The article given to me is entitled A Personal Reflection on the Education in Samoa, written by Tilianamua Afamasaga. Tilianamua Afamasaga was or has been involved in the education in Samoa for over 30 years. As being a part of the education in Samoa for over 30 years, Afamasaga often thought, what is education in the Pacific? In his own words, education is introduction to worthwhile learning, and schooling is worthwhile learning that is organized and institutionalized. The teachers and the teaching education in Samoa has often been criticized and has been criticized throughout history. When things go wrong in schooling, teachers are often blamed, and also their processes of teaching are criticized even more. Afamasaga says that the schooling in Samoa is an alien. He explains that it is an alien because in Samoa and throughout the Pacific, the education is totally foreign and thus an alienating force, and it's a force that threatens the Pacific schools to transform societies and the schooling beyond recognition. He says that the biggest challenge has always been to Samoanize or indigenize this institution or schooling so that it can be accommodated within the transformation of Samoan society. He also feels that the roles of the Pacific languages are very important to include into the schooling in the Pacific. These include not only the vernaculars of the Pacific languages, but also English. Afamasaga quotes a Samoan saying, "Ola ta ngangana olota fa'asino manga," which roughly translates, our language is our heritage, our origin, our reason for being and belonging. He feels that the language is important, and to include the heritage into the schooling is very important, not only to the children, but to their parents and their ancestors who came before them. He also says that our language gives us rise to our thoughts and our philosophies, and also to our expression. The schedules and practices of the Samoan education has not really been explained in the article by Afamasaga, but he said there was once a time when the Samoan education was described as the Pacific way, and he often questioned what has happened to this way. And he said that many of the issues of schooling are concerned with those of the schedules and practices which are steeped in Western ideology and the values. To improve the education in Samoa, Afamasaga comes up with things that they should rethink about, like the concept of schooling in schools in the Pacific, the roles of the teachers, languages in school, schedules and practices, values and aspirations, and posing inadequate curricular solutions to structural issues. Some of the suggestions for dealing with some of these issues that he thinks need to be rethought are indigenizing schooling, or making Pacific schools our own by not only including Pacific cultural knowledge in our curriculum, but also rethinking the structures of schooling as a Western import into our systems. He also thinks that a teacher education program should be provided, not only for the discipline of teaching, but also the expectation of the communities. And he thinks that validating our schools, or the Samoan school schedules and practices in the institution of the school, are very important. And he thinks that Maintaining cultural values through the use of changing cultural goods is important. And the last suggestion is for providing appropriate solutions to problems that arise. And having the experience in the Samoan education for 30 years, he must know what he's talking about, and he hopes that the education in Samoa will one day meet the standards of not only the people, but meet the standards of the children, and that they may get the best education that they can.